some big blooms, and one of the things we want to think about is how do we make like a little small bunch of blooms. And so I'm going to go ahead and use my palette. Whenever I teach classes, I leave the palette's very messy, and people are like, oh, should I clean that? I'm like, no, because that's all really good ink. You don't need to clean that out. And so I can see there's like a purple in here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put alcohol in that, and then this pink one, and then maybe this blue one. So I'm going to do kind of a purple, pink, blue little bunch of flowers. And once that alcohol is in there, I can just kind of stir this around, and I'm just waking all that up again, waking all that ink up in there. It's all still really good. And you know, inks aren't that expensive, but you just don't want to waste. So there's a really pretty pink. And then this is a blue, so I cleaned my brush before I put it in here. But this is a really nice bright blue. Look how that's just waking all that ink up. So that's the blue. And then we got our purple in here. This is kind of an eggplant. This is kind of a darker purple. So that's a purple. It's kind of a dull purple. Not sure I like that purple. So I'm going to go ahead and add some purple here. Ooh. Okay. These get hard to open sometimes. There it goes. So I'm going to add some purple there. And my hand, you can wear gloves. I tend to not wear gloves, but you can see how much prettier this purple is. It's a much prettier purple than the eggplant. Just brighter. It's nothing's better or worse. It's just that I wanted it brighter. So for little flowers, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll pick a color, and let's say we're going to do a bunch of maybe lilacs, like a big lilac bunch, right? And so that's kind of shaped. I'm just kind of swirling my brush around, and I'm going to add a different color. So I have a couple different colors in here, and I'm going to kind of make it that shape, kind of this blob. Because when I think of lilacs, I think of that. And I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And I'm going to come back in with my ink. And now with alcohol inks, the more alcohol, the more it spreads. The less alcohol, the more it'll stay nice and tight. So I'm going to kind of let this almost dry out a little bit in this palette. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to put 4 little dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see how it's expanding? And this is fun to do because it's just very meditative. And then maybe I'll get a little bit different color so that they're not all the same color. Ooh, that's going to be a big blob. That's a little bigger than I wanted. So I'm just trying to work in these little bunches of 4, but you can see how they're starting to form this little bloom. And I'm not worrying that some of them are getting kind of blobbed in together, because I can just go back in later with my markers that we talked about, and I can kind of start to define those a little more. So I'm just trying to, we're kind of layering here. So I'm just keep layering these in here. You can see how it's starting to feel like a lilac bush, a lilac bloom. And after I get that all done, just trying to get some on the outside so I have a little bit of white. Starting to look kind of pretty. Our men are talking in the background. We love you guys. Bye. All right, so you can kind of see how that became a lilac. And then maybe I will add a little bit of greenery in here. Again, on my palette I already have a nice olive green. And I can maybe bring in some greenery around it. It looks like leaves. Kind of a leaf shape. So on a palette you can mix, which is really nice over here. I wanted to show that palette a little bit here. So I can mix some blue and some green together, and that's going to make it a little bit more of an emerald green. So I had a very olive green over here, and now as you can see I added some blue, so that's going to give it a little bit of a more of an emerald. A little bit of a different tone. And I like to have different tones going on in my leaves. So I'm not worrying, I'm just trying to get some basic shapes going on in here. Maybe there's a stem. And then what I'll do is I'll go back with my markers, and I'll find some colors that will be good to go in here. So purple and blue, and then maybe I'll pick this blue and green for the leaves. And that's when I can come in and really do a little bit of detail work, where again I can create those little circles, but I can pull out, and you can see I can get a lot more little detail going on in here. Little teeny dots. And I'm kind of just working in circles. And I never know when to tell you to quit. It's going to ever be when you think you're done. I can't, it's a hard thing to tell an artist when they should stop. It's always just your own opinion. And I'm kind of working, trying to keep my pinks more on one side, my blues on the other. That kind of helps give the flower a little bit of dimension. And I'm going to actually just leave that soft there because I like not defining everything. And then because this side of the bloom is a little bit cooler, I'm going to bring that This is going to be a really bright, this might be too bright of a green, but we'll use it anyways. So you kind of have what we were working on there. I'm going to put a few more little dots over here. So this one takes a while to teach and takes a while to do, but I think it's a fun one to learn, so you can just see how to do something with little flowers. And you don't always have to do a big thing like that. You can just do, you just use the markers if you want to, because they are alcohol ink based, and you can just do something where you know, pull. I'm just putting that point to the outside.
Very cool.
And that's just with the markers. You can see they keep expanding as well. Then what I can do is take a little bit of alcohol and just put that center drop back in there. That was a little bit bigger than I wanted. And you can keep use your brush and keep working it. So that's kind of a pretty little bunch. So that's how you do small flowers. That's one way to do them anyways. Okay?